In the second presentation of this afternoon's National Drug Code session, I'm going to talk about the future format of the NDC. You will learn after this presentation to define the National Drug Code, provide an overview of the proposed rule revising the NDC format, and describe the proposed implementation timeline. We start the presentation with a poll question. You can type your answer in the chat box to answer this question. Which statement is true about the NDC? A, NDC is required to appear on all human prescription drug carton labels. B, NDC is 11 digits and is used in dispensing and reimbursement transactions. C, NDC is 10 digits and has various formats. Or D, both A and B. See, the answers are coming in, and the correct one would be C. NDC is 10 digits and has different formats. So as a reminder, we have talked about this before in prior presentations, and we'll talk more about NDC in the next presentation. But as we know, it's a unique identifier for drugs in U.S. commercial distribution, and for most drugs, it's included on a drug label and labeling. It must be assigned to all drugs that are in U.S. commercial distribution and can be part of the UPC. This, again, is a reminder for many of us that NDC is 10 digits, it has 3 segments, and it has 3 different formats that are assigned by FDA. So there is actually an 11-digit NDC format, which was included in the poll question. An FDA assigned 10-digit NDC is converted to the HIPAA standardized 11-digit NDC format by adding a leading 0 to the applicable short segment to make a 542 format. As you can see on this slide, it shows on the left side the 3 different NDC formats that are switched to the HIPAA 11-digit format on the right. So we have a finite amount of 5-digit labeler codes, and we will eventually run out. Under current regulations, once we run out of 5-digit labeler codes, we must assign 6-digit labeler codes. That will create an 11-digit FDA-assigned NDC and will introduce 2 new formats to the current formats of the NDC, the 632 and the 641. That obviously is a concern because without a change, we will have 5 different NDC formats in FDA, and an FDA-assigned 11-digit NDC may be confusing with a HIPAA-converted 11-digit NDC. And not only it's costly, but all these conversions, but also it may cause medication errors, which is a grave concern. And as you can see on this example provided, especially in systems that remove hyphens in NDC, there is a concern about a duplicate NDC between the 11-digit converted HIPAA format and the new FDA-assigned 11-digit NDCs. So FDA published a proposed rule in July of 2022, which was intended to minimize the impact of moving to 6-digit labeler codes and also to eliminate the timing uncertainty and multiple NDC lengths and formats that were as a result of moving to 6-digit labeler codes. So proposed rule included provisions to update the length and format of the NDC to a 12-digit format, 642, and it actually proposed also some barcode labeling requirements. So to list some of the potential benefits, the proposed rule, once finalized, facilitates the adoption of a single NDC format by all stakeholders, which would in turn eliminate the need to convert NDCs from an FDA format to a different format and eliminates the need for stakeholders to maintain multiple versions of an NDC. It also eliminates the need to convert NDCs and minimizes confusion and potential medication errors that could result from format conversions. The proposed rule also would provide stakeholders with a specific date by which FDA would begin issuing NDCs in a new format, which would provide more certainty to everyone regarding when they would need to have systems ready to accept the NDCs in a format other than the 3 current 10-digit FDA-assigned formats. The proposed rule, if finalized, will have a delayed effective date. It was proposed that the effective date will be 5 years after the publication of the final rule, and after that we enter a 3-year transition period. So after a 5-year delayed effective date, it is proposed that there is a 3-year transition period, and it is designed to minimize relabeling costs and decreasing drug shortage risks due to timing of product release, and also limiting the time frame that may cause confusion with coexisting labeling with 2 different lengths of NDC. So on the effective date, FDA will convert all NDCs to 12 digits and start assigning 6-digit labeler codes, which leads to assignment of new 12-digit format NDCs. Everyone should have their systems capable of handling the new 12-digit NDC in the 642 format, and firms should start labeling drugs that were assigned 10-digit NDCs with the new 12-digit 642 format, and that is on or after the effective date, not before then. And then the drug listing submissions would be required to also use the new 12-digit NDC format in the new submissions, and any updates needs to also include the 12-digit NDC in the SPL and in the labeling after the effective date. Transition period starts right after the effective date, and it's proposed currently to be 3 years. During this time, FDA will publish and maintain both 10 and 12-digit NDCs. FDA does not intend to object if drugs that were assigned a 10-digit NDC prior to the effective date continue to be labeled and distributed with the 10-digit NDC on the label, but encourages manufacturers and distributors to include 12-digit NDCs on their drug labeling as soon as possible after the effective date, but not later than when the firm runs out of its existing labeling inventory for the drug and orders or begins printing new labeling. After the transition period ends, all firms would be required to use a 12-digit NDC in the listing files. So being prepared and planning this accordingly, if the rule is finalized as proposed, will reduce the impact and cost to all stakeholders. And there are 3 fronts that you have to be prepared for. One is the operating systems that need to be able to accommodate the new 12-digit NDC in a 642 format on the effective date, and then labeling. So planning, labeling update, and annual report according to the rule's effective date will help you maintain an up-to-date labeling and meet the requirements and complying with the requirements, and also reduce cost. And also for drug listing, to confirm the 12-digit NDC format after the effective date, and providing updated labeling for the drug listing file when those updates are required in your drug listing. To wrap up the presentation, you must answer this challenge question. I will let you read it and provide your answers in the chat box. Which statement is true, A, B, C, or D? And the correct answer, as some of you have responded correctly, is D. And on this slide, I have provided a link to the 2022 Federal Register notice for your information. So in summary, with or without a final rule, regardless of how it's finalized, the NDC format will change in the future. So we advise you to stay tuned and informed, and reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you for your attention. Now I turn it to my colleague, Lieutenant Commander Sujin Park, for an excellent presentation on NDC assignment to drugs.